We are so fortunate to have so much talent from our coaches and champions to take advantage of as we plan programming, and it's been really fun weaving champions and coaches into each act this year. Now for the afternoon, we're going to welcome to the stage Kelly Vannase, who retired from P&G a year ago as the Chief Communications Officer for P&G Beauty, Grooming, and Health. And as you know, she is also one of our executive coaches who works with Denny Tato with the corporate consciousness. There, I said it. That was right. Woo! Welcome to the stage, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. And I realize we have like an hour and a half together, and I just want to set the stage. One, it's always an honored position to be right after lunch. Thank you, Jackie. But I know Jackie put me here because she knows that I'm only going to talk for like 10 to 15 minutes, right? So we're talking like 10 slides, all right? And you all are going to do a ton of work, all right? And you're going to walk away with something that I hope is super useful for you, all right? So this is an invitation, and it's only an invitation. You can accept it or not. But you're going to be doing most of the work, all right? So you're going to need a piece of paper and a pen, or your computer if you don't have a blank piece of paper and pen, all right? And of course, I'm going to be weaving in the enneagram because, right, Denny and I are so passionate about the enneagram. And it is super useful in this exercise that you all are going to be doing. All right, so have your Enneagram type out. If you are not familiar with the Enneagram types, then that's okay. I have one slide that I will keep up here that you can use. And of course, you can Google the Enneagram types and get at least the top line. So I'll explain all of this as we go along. So I spent 27 years at Procter & Gamble, right? And it was awesome. And the last time I was on this stage, I was celebrating my retirement, so I'm having kind of a full circle moment here. And one of the beautiful things about Procter & Gamble, there are many, is that we created brand management, right? I mean, I think anybody who knows marketing knows that brand management was created here at Procter & Gamble. We have lots of experience, almost 200 years of experience, establishing and growing brands. And about 25 years ago, a group of super brilliant communicators, did not include me, senior communicators decided that they would take all of this great knowledge about brand building and apply it to our leaders to create personal branding. And so, disclaimer, there is a ton out in the zeitgeist about personal brand equity, personal brand building, the 7 pillars, the 5 E's, the 6 C's, the whatevers, right? And they're all good. It's all really good information. HBR does an article on personal branding probably every 2 years. And it's all very useful. So I'm just saying this is another tool created by the creators of brand building. You take it for whatever it's worth. I happen to think it's pretty good, right? And very thorough. What makes it different is that it is hugely insightful, all right? You're going to do the first part today, the part you can do alone, and then the invitation is to complete it, about 60% of it, of the overall, once you leave the room, all right? And I'll explain all of that in a minute. So, we'll start with a little interaction here. I want you all to think about a brand that you love, all right? Think about why you love the brand and capture the characteristics. Capture why is it you love this brand? And then I'm going to ask for audience participation, so I'd love for a couple of you to raise your hands and share. All right? Take 1 minute. Think of a brand you love, why you love it, and just capture the descriptors, the characteristics, the why. Anybody need Wi-Fi? 2 people? All right, does anybody have their brand identified? Here we go. We got 2 people over here.
Oh, Fenty.
Oh.
Fenty by Rihanna.
Okay, and tell me why.
Well, it's really sexy.
Sexy?
Yeah, and it's really authentic to Rihanna.
What else?
I see myself in the brand,
Okay.
and I think it's relatable to women who are similar to me and are interested in beauty and fashion.
Great. Anything else?
It's a lot of fun, and it's really, I think I just want to double down on the relatability of it
Yep.
and inclusivity.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Who else?
Best one.
My favorite brand is Athleta. So, number one, I like to be comfortable, and they have comfortable clothes. The quality of their clothes are really nice, and then I think the number one seller is their customer service is absolutely phenomenal, which keeps me coming back because if I ever have an issue, they take care of it. There's a real human working with you, and they go above and beyond.
All right. Awesome. Awesome.
Because where I'm standing, Swiffer has changed my life.
I was waiting for a P&G brand, but I wasn't gonna, bias.
And we all know I'm right.
All right, Jackie, share why. Share why.
Oh, I mean, everything. It just helps my OCD and clean up so fast. I love the smell. It's so easy. It's all the things, yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. Okay. We had one over here too, but yep.
I'm just going to say my brand is Right Now Media, but the one thing that hasn't been said was that I feel like it's very trustworthy. Like when I go to it, I know that I can trust the source of it.
What is the brand?
Right Now Media.
Right Now Media.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
So
a
trust.
Christian Netflix.
Got it. That's catchy, a Christian Netflix. I love it.
I wrote down Barbie, and I love the color pink, so clearly
Okay.
that's the first thing. But I think she's iconic. Everyone knows her. When you start to hear things of, like her name is part of, a color or a genre or a generation. So I just like everything about it.
All right. All right. So Barbie, but I think we missed one right here. Was your hand up?
Which is funny. Actually, for me, the one I enjoy right now is honestly Kroger, because I love the little fat round bubble people that are always out shopping. Like, they just make me happy for no reason. Yeah. So, I love the transparency of it, and they're pretty inclusive across. If you really pay attention, you'll see all different types of those little, whatever bubble people they are. Kroger's, there they go. Yeah.
I love it. Thank
I
you.
think it's fun and cute.
I love the brand. I will caveat, I'm not a huge fan of the founder, but I've always been an admirer of Tom's because it was born out of making a difference. Like that brand from the beginning and kind of pioneering the buy one, give one model. Got to give them some props and credit for that. Also just being a global company as well. It's just reasons I like them.
Love that. Love that.
I'm going to go. Oh, hi. I'm going to go close to home here. Truly, from the essence of what I am, the Power to Pursue brand. I mean, it's close to home here. Every time
Love that.
I see it, I mean it. I seriously, I see connection, I see growth, I see potential, I see pain, I see love, I see it all. So, all of it, every time.
Love that. Love that. So what'd you say? I know, you didn't even pay, right? Is that so? That does kind of fit into equity a little bit here, right? So what are we hearing? We're hearing some common themes, right? We're hearing loving brands because they connect with me, right? Loving brands because they share my values, right? Loving brands because they're fun. They have a point of view. They have some character. Loving brands because they do what I want to do and what I want them to do, right? So that really is the essence of brand equity, right? It is what is said about a brand when that brand manager's not in the room, right? So personal equity is no different. It is what is said about us when we're not in the room. It's also about what we want to project to the world, what we want to stand for, or what we do stand for already, right? So and you'll like read a ton about all sorts of other things that brand equities are, but in the end, the essence is really these two things, right? And so what I love about what was just shared is Rachel was here, and you shared about the power to pursue, right? And it was a lovely share. So that equity is super strong. And my guess is we would say the same about Rachel if she weren't in the room. And so the exercise that we're going to go through today is essentially you creating your own brand equities. And so why is that important? Why is it important to have your own brand equity? Does anyone have anything they want to share about why that might be important? Okay, it's okay if not. Yeah?
People need to understand why they're buying into you, what you're selling you and your services.
Yeah, so people need to understand why they're buying into you and what you're selling, essentially, right? And the value of that. Yep.
I think also what you're not. So if they're talking about you in the room and they're talking about you for a role that isn't anything you're interested in, that could be a conflict.
Right. So it's as important to know what you don't stand for, right, as much as what you do stand for.
I'll speak on behalf of all the entrepreneurs in the room. Although we all have business names and logos, we're really selling ourselves.
Right.
So for me, personal equity is my brand equity.
Yep. Yep. I read something that said, from somebody that said, oh, your career or company equity, business equity, work equity is different than your non-work or your personal equity, and I don't agree with that. I think that is a very bad idea to try to separate those two. I mean, life is hard enough, right? Yep.
I think that brand equity grows with you even if you don't know that it's growing, and sometimes other people appreciate it more than what you appreciate your own brand equity. I've been building a brand for a couple of years already, and now I'm getting people from like the Findlay Kitchen where I produce that they tell me, can I send you people because you are the expert in this? And I start laughing, not really understanding what they mean. But you build your equity even if you don't know it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really important to know that, because you build it positively, you can also build it negatively if you're not intentional about it, right? And even though you're not intentionally probably saying, I'm going to be the expert in this area, even though it's okay if you did, right? That equity is being built over time because of the trust and because of what you have exemplified, right, to those around you. So that's a very good point. So yeah, so why is this important? The benefit is essentially clarity, right? So you heard Shailesh talk about this, right? Clarity. And you hear Brene Brown talk about clarity being kindness. Clarity is also like really important. If you want people to know what you stand for and why they need to believe in you, you gotta be super clear and you gotta be super simple. So clarity in what you stand for and what your unique contributions are. We'll talk about all the different elements of brand equity in a minute, right? But knowing what your unique contributions are and communicating those. The second is communication, all right? Effective strategic communication. So we built these equities back in the day it used to be just for our key leaders. So it was really like the CEO and the presidents. And I've done this probably six times for 6 different people who have gone on to become CEOs of other companies. And each time I did this with my leader, the leader gained a ton of insight, and it happened to be all men, so, you know, back in the day. So he would turn to me and say, wow, I had no idea, okay? And then we would take that equity and we would build an integrated strategic communications plan around it. And I mean communicating with all the stakeholders. So, what does he stand for? What are his strategic equities? How are we going to bring these to life? Where are we going to bring them to life? What are the 3 key messages, right? And I know it sounds like really boring, but we get sick of our messages far before our audiences do, right? And that consistency is super, super important. So consistent presence is the 3rd reason this is so important. Consistency in messaging, consistency in presence, consistency in character, right? It was also super helpful when they transitioned to their new roles. So Patrice Louvet was the head of beauty at the time. I loved him. He was a great guy. We did his equity. He became the CEO of Ralph Lauren. He's killing it. But his chief communications officer, I handed her his equity. I handed her the strategic communications plan. She was like, oh my God, this makes things so much easier. We get to know him better, faster, and we know how to craft the announcement about his new position. Chip Bergh went on to become the now retired CEO of Levi Strauss. Same thing, except for he ended up in like Dockers and Levi's, and you know we spent a lot of time helping to craft his look. It all kind of went to hell when he went to Levi, but that's okay. It's okay, right? It's okay because it's not about that, right? Not about that. What it takes, and again, you heard Shailesh talk about this, right? This importance of self-awareness. We've talked about it a lot, you know, throughout the Game Changers experiences, and certainly in, I'm sure, all of your coaching that all of you all have gotten, self-awareness is really top of mind, right? It is the secret to growth. And when we are aware of our beautiful strengths we bring into this world, that's a lovely thing. And when we're aware, when we overuse those strengths, they become a little bit of a blind spot for us or a liability. That's equally as important. And so that self-awareness is absolutely critical to developing a relevant and authentic brand equity, and then humility. And by this I mean humility to accept all of the beautiful things about yourself. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of the coaching that I do, I find that people are, oh yeah, whatever, oh yeah, fine, that's great, yeah, I know I do that well, I'm going to focus on the negative, right? But it takes humility to accept the positive, to accept all of the beautiful parts of ourselves, all of our strengths, in addition to some of the feedback, because the process does involve identifying strengths and a few areas of opportunities. Okay? So how does it work? We use the enneagram as a basis. You all heard Denny. It is what my brother calls the user interface to the soul. It is a way for us to understand the motivations that really result in our patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. And those are our personalities, and those we develop pretty intensely from a young age, right? And so our jobs are to break out of our personality types and to be, you know, as the panelists said, as Shailesh said, the very best version of ourselves that we can be. Key enabler, Enneagram for understanding. Another key enabler, trusted interviewer. So, as I said, you're going to do your portion of this today, and you're going to walk away with probably 30%, okay? In a perfect world, you have someone like me, or I was a trusted colleague, right, but a trusted friend who is going to reach out to 5 to 10 people you know who know you really well, from work, from childhood, from family, just people who really know you well. And they're going to conduct interviews. And you have a list of questions in your packet, don't get them yet. But that is then the fodder for all of the information that then will be distilled down and put into these areas of the equity pyramid, all right? But for today, you're going to do your portion, which is answering the questions yourself. And then, again, enablers, humility, but also sort of this openness to positive and negative feedback. So, 5 to 10 people, complete the questionnaire. Back in the day, I would record, this is so funny, technology will be our friend. So back in the day, I would record all of the interviews, and then I would transcribe all of the interviews because there was not a transcription app back in the day. And then I would pick out the themes, right? And then I would present the information. Everything is anonymized, of course. Today, you've got translation app. This actually should be a key enabler. Translation app, and you have AI, right? So you can put all of this into an AI app, and it will spit out themes. Now, I'm not saying you want to fully rely on that, okay? It's just an enabler. So you'll want to read through everything and double check, but what used to take a month, it still could take a month because it might take that long to interview all these people. It's really distilled down, so you can do it pretty quickly. The key is getting someone you really trust. Shailesh talked about that too, right? Have somebody you really trust do this with you, right, and for you. All right, for today, I want you to get out of your packets the questionnaire, all right? It's called Personal Branding, Online and In-Person Presence by Me, okay? It has personal brand equity statement at the top, and then it has brand equity interview questions underneath. Who needs the handouts?
Raise your hand. Yeah, raise your hand.
Okay. All right, so while you're keeping your hand up, it is. You might want to, do a little bit of this, right? So while you keep your hands up, your job is going to be to complete the questionnaire. I'm going to have you guys break out. I would ask you to stay in your cohort and go to your cohort table. I think it's supposed to be storming right now. I would say if you want to move outside, you can move outside. It's up to you if it's not storming, okay? But go to your cohort table. It's going to be, I think, really helpful to have something to write on. You're going to complete your questionnaires, then you're going to turn to the person next to you, all right? And you're going to review the questionnaires through the filter of the enneagram. All right, so you got to know your enneagram type, and you have to know kind of the key attributes, okay? You're going to talk about it, you're going to edit, and then you're going to distill it down. All right, and we'll go through the different elements. And I have an example. All right, so here is what your personal brand equity statement will kind of look like. It's a framework, all right? So overall equity, it is the one idea that sets you apart from others. The one idea that sets you apart from others. And I have an example I'll show you, so you'll get a little example here. Strategic equities, all right? 3 to 5 reasons we should believe the overall equity. Okay, so we would call those reasons to believe, all right? The strategic equities will have some points of parity, which means kind of table stakes, right, that other leaders might have or other people might have, with a couple that are really unique to you, right? They're sort of your special sauce that you bring, all right? The character, 3 to 5 phrases that describe you as a person, and it's important, it's not your role, it's you as a human being, all right? The voice, 3 to 5 phrases that describe how you express yourself, all right? And then visual ID, Viz ID. So just a description of your physical presence, right? How you show up. I think about that as like the energy you bring to the room, okay? So I'll give you a quick one here. And this is at the top of your, right? So this is at the top of your page. So you don't really, you've got it in front of you. All right, so this is a leader. It's just an example. It's kind of funny to think about who this is. Okay, so the overall equity, a leader's leader. Right? So typically it's like a couple of words, a couple, 3 words, right? So it's a leader's leader, inspiring others to perform at their peak. I wish I'd known Shailesh's, because that would have been interesting to share. Strategic equities, purpose-driven, disciplined idealist, in-touch internationalist, interesting word, and servant leader. This is one of our former CEOs. Personal brand character, inspiring optimist, values-led, voracious learner, and self-disciplined. The brand voice, assuring, insightful storyteller, visionary, inclusive. And then the visual identity, stands ready, assures with their strength and confidence, and surrounded by diverse cultures and experiences. And so the visual identity is something to consider as you think about the setting that you're in, right? So it can be as much about how you show up in your presence as what setting is most natural for you. And then in this case, this CEO was always on the road, was always in Asia, was always in Africa, like always all around the world. And so visually, he was in that context a lot. So I will pause here. Are there any questions? Yep.
So for bringing the equities to life and the 3 key messages, do you ultimately pull those from these last 3 bullet points?
The bringing the equities to life?
When you first talked about the personal equity, bringing equities to life in 3 key messages.
So that's great. Actually, you're going to get that primarily, the messaging, primarily through the strategic equities, okay? But it'll be infused, right, with all of the other elements. All right? So oftentimes it'll be, this is going to influence the framing, right? Kind of like the how it shows up. It can influence the what too, but it's a lot of the how. Okay? Does that help? All right. Other questions? I think I saw another hand go up. No? You mean a couple back? This one? All right. Now, I'm going to put up, is that good? Wait. All right. What?
Well, back to Shailesh.
Yeah.
That was a master class in everything you're talking about. With his 3 key messages, when he talked about his taking the day off of work to celebrate his wife's birthday,
Yeah.
is that in the storytelling? Is that bringing home? What part of that is part of the equity?
I think that would be more in character, right? That is kind of a character attribute that, you know, I'm a person who holds dear the important moments in the lives of the people I love, right? It's a way that could be framed. Yeah. All right, other questions? All right. So I thought this could be helpful to put up. You can Google Enneagram and get something very similar. But I share this just because as you are reviewing and as you're answering the questions, right, you're going to want to keep in mind your core motivation, the strengths of your Enneagram type, along with the fear, right, or not the fear, the sort of core belief, okay, and some of the blind spots, because you don't have the benefit right now of having that sort of third-party partnership, right, in the feedback. So you're going to want to bring that in yourself. And then for whoever you're turning to, once you're finished with your questionnaire and sharing with, that person needs to be aware of your Enneagram type and kind of keeping that in mind, right? So as a type 8, social 8 on the Enneagram, control is kind of a big deal to me. I also have a very deep caring side to me, and I am one of the most sensitive types, even though I can come off kind of rough, kind of like, a marshmallow wrapped in titanium. So I need to be aware of that, right? All of my directness, all of my, step in and get it done, move things forward, fill the leadership vacuum, those are beautiful strengths, right? And my biggest fear is weakness and vulnerability. So I just want to make sure that I'm aware of that as I'm developing my brand equity. So I will pause here and ask if there are any questions. There are no dumb questions. I think we know this. All right, and so you're going to take, let's see, we have to be back by 2:30, right, Rach? I think it's 2:30. Is it 2:45 or 2:30? 2:45. All right, so we have an hour. So you're going to take 20 to 30 minutes to complete your questionnaire. I want you to be very thoughtful about it, all right? This is not like I'm going to rush through and answer this. Some of this stuff is going to be kind of familiar, probably because of the coaching you've gotten, right? So you want to take into account your values, right? You want to take into account your unique point of view, your unique strengths, what you bring to the table, right? So your life mission or life purpose, that is all fodder for developing this equity. So bring all of that in, be super thoughtful, take 20 to 30 minutes on your own. Then, let's see if we have an hour, take another 20 minutes, 10 minutes each, to share with the person next to you, all right? So hopefully you're just gonna go out here, sit in your cohorts, work at the tables, share with each other, all right? And then you're gonna come back in and I'm gonna ask for a couple of volunteers to share, okay? Any questions? Yes?
Could you speak more to how to read our Enneagram? So we did the assessment. I see, the top number, but there's also like wing, growth, stress, triad.
So you just need to take into consideration your core Enneagram type, the type, your primary lead Enneagram type,
Okay, thank you.
okay? It's not, the other stuff is important, but that is most important to really understand, okay? Other questions? Yes?
It sounds like you want, in the 20 to 30 minutes, you want people to not only do the interview questions, but also do the 5 items that you had for
Yes.
today.
So
So they have to do both of those
Both
things
of those things. Thank you for the
within 30
clarity.
minutes,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Answer the questions and then develop this.
So is it one interview and one set of questions?
So you have one set of questions, you're one person, you're going to answer those questions, you're going to look at those questions, and you're going to then develop the overall equity, the strategic equities, right? The character, the vis ID. You're answering that for yourself and on yourself. And then you're going to turn and share it. Questions? Okay. Yep.
On that Enneagram slide that you just had up, the black text at the bottom, are those the biggest fears? Like
Yeah.
underneath?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep. Other questions? Is it clear? Yeah? All right. Cool. Go. Just would be really awesome if we had someone who volunteered to share. I don't want to, oh, yay. Oh, yay. Awesome. We have a volunteer. Yay.
Put your jacket on.
And before you start, if you could just share with the rest of the group just how you experienced this, right? Like what was valuable about it, if anything, like what was your experience?
Sure,
during the process?
I'm Stephanie. I appreciated the self-reflection. Like there are times where you get caught up in the day-to-day and you're not really like taking that step back. When I was looking at this, it was how am I showing up and how do I want to show up? And so it's a good reflection point for me as I'm going through here and building this equity statement to say, how much of my day-to-day is actually grounded in how I want to show up within this equity statement versus maybe when I am feeling not my best self. So I found that helpful.
Awesome. And so thank you. And thank you for being the first volunteer. Go for it.
All right, so we did a little loosey-goosey in ours. So I just answered the first 3, overall equity, strategic equities, and brand character.
Awesome.
And they're just words on this page, so definitely need some refinement later. But overall equity, what I have here is a leader that excels at making complex strategies compelling and actionable. Strategic equities, servant leader, lifelong learner, and calculated risk taker. And under brand character, I have empathetic, inquisitive, ambitious, and bold.
This is awesome. I think anyone would want you on their team, so that's lovely. Thank you so much. Outstanding. Who else? Who's next? We just need a couple more people to share. Thank you. And do just Stephanie, right? Was that what your name was, Stephanie? Do what Stephanie did. Meaning,
What a wonderful name, because I'm Stephanie too.
okay, so Stephanie too.
Yes.
Just share the experience. Like, what was your experience with this? Any insights that you would want to share?
So I think it was easier when I started answering the first questions, because I came out with clear answers. It was easy to come with them. But then I struggled into defining the strategic equities and the character, because I felt some of them, how to differentiate them, like they could feed on both of them, and what was the differences. So, but then my big insight was on the voice, because I realized that even though I probably never thought about this, but I was consistent to, I felt I was trying to be consistent to what I'm showing to others. I realized that even though the impact I'm having in others is not the right one. So my voice was not coming out correctly. So that was interesting, because even connecting it to the enneagram, I realized that because of so I'm a 7 with a 1. So let me share what I have, and then I'll go to the voice. That probably make more sense. So I put courageous and creative leader with a growth mindset that enables others to learn and improve every day. So then my strategic equities were results-oriented, status quo challenger, courageous and fast adopter, and then my partner helped me add one that I put like a strategic forward thinker. And then on the brand character, I put like passionate learner, positive idealist, and enthusiastic connector and improver. But again, they're very similar, different words. I struggled. But then on my brand voice, I found that what I do is I connect ideas, like the way I show in meetings is I connect points, individuals or past experiences to keep growing and improving or learning from others. I challenge to learn and improve whatever we're doing, and I question to understand more or to get others find more options. But what I realized is that like the question that said, how do you want them to leave after they talk to you? My answer was, I want them to leave motivated of the multiple possibilities ahead. However, what I realized is my impact is they feel it's never enough.
Ah, that's interesting.
So the way so I put like, I think I need to change my tone. I need to avoid the judging in me, like that one that comes with the criticism, judging, because I think even though that's not my intention, it's coming across as I'm judging what they were doing.
Yeah. What a great insight. What an important insight.
Right. So my partner also helped me to identify like how to help on that, and it was like as a forward thinker, you're always thinking, okay, what's next? But you need to be more conscious on stopping to look what has been done, recognizing and making a pause that if I would do that more in my voice, it would help clarify my intent.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So, and the other thing I did when I was waiting is I copy my answers to ChatPG, and
Oh, you
give
did
me
it?
a personal brand builder, and it came with some messages and statements that was very similar to what I had, that I said, oh, look at this.
There you go. So you had a chance to validate it with AI. I love that. Thank you. So really great insight, great learning, and then great actions that you can start to implement, just a little bit at a time, just to kind of test what it feels like, what the reaction is, what the response is. So I love that. Thank you. Awesome. Stephanie's. We've covered some Stephanie's. Yes, Rebecca.
Because I cheated over here. I grabbed the clover leaf in that little question box that we talked about the last time. And when I was stumped on a couple of these questions, because self-identifying is still something I'm working on, even though I have a great voice, it had to do with reevaluating exactly what I was thinking and put it into the words for me, which
Awesome.
really helps
So you want to
me.
share?
I'll share speaking of voice, I'll share that part because this is the one thing that I really am really focused on this program. So thank you. I think this is going to be amazing little exercise for me. As far as learning, it reiterated to me that I do learn with hands-on experience. I am trial and error. Some people want to show you the way. I am the person who says, I can find my way. But I do also respect how people learn, which is really important as a leader, because the things that I teach in a lot of, as a leader, I teach people differently how to learn. And I imagine many of you guys learn by reading or by listening or
Everybody's
by
different. Yep.
trial and error. So to be able to say that that is how I learn best, and to let the people who want to teach me something let me do it.
Yep.
So also just with how you learn and finding your voice, I do communicate. I'm thoughtful, I'm deliberate, I have confidence, and I want people to know I am credible. And that is how I deliver my results. So yeah, thank you. With activity, I'm very active, so my voice and my body language is the same as I present myself. So knowing that I can be active and enthusiasm, but still come across confident.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, who else? Who else wants to share? Maybe just one more, and then we'll go into break. Awesome. Thank you.
So my overall equity was helping others. Well, I got some good feedback from my table. I should take a moment and reflect and give them some credit for being amazing listeners. Because we kind of did a little bit of a personal branding exercise at the very beginning of all of this, and I love that they remembered it. I kind of just rephrased it, and they liked my original phrasing. So I'll tell you what I came up with, and then I'll go back to my original phrasing.
Okay.
Helping others to acknowledge the inequities in the world and around them, to acknowledge their underlying anger about those, and harness it for positive action. And the way that I had phrased it more simply and eloquently earlier in the year was, I'm a rebel with a cause.
Great.
So I'm hanging my hat on that.
Just to acknowledge, that is an awesome equity statement.
Thanks.
Rebel with a cause.
Strategic equities, always advocating, go-getter, encouraging storyteller, ever approachable. And I was playing around with diplomatically disruptive. It's a balance, right? Brand character, open, honest, optimistic, energetic, and passionate. Brand voice, empowering, relatable, and motivating. And visual ID, I thought more about the body language and kind of energy presence versus the physical, because that will change depending on the day. I'm at ease and at one with myself to help others feel the same.
That's lovely. That's really good. Really good. Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else want to share? This is, I think, super helpful. Okay, so I'm bringing it in, Rach, I'm bringing it in. All right, so here are three things for you to consider. Obviously, we talked about time commitment. My biggest encouragement for you all is to get that trusted partner to go out and talk to 5 to 10 of your friends and take them through the questionnaire. Going back to what Shailesh said, having that feedback is really important, right? What you did today was really important, and having it informed by just those around you, right? Because they see you differently than you see yourself. So that would be my encouragement. And really think about that equity statement, right? And what is the difference maker that you bring? What is your unique contribution? All right? Thank you very much.